No, to be honest. I think we front-loaded early in terms of our recruitment. It might be a loan, maybe, for one of the younger members of the squad, but unless I receive a phone call in the short period, then it won't be one that's drawn out late into the evening, no.
In terms of incomings, do you feel you're done for the window?
Listen, I think 9 players coming into a squad, it's important that squad has time to settle down. We don't have any injuries at this moment in time, so the squad's looking healthy. The squad size has come down and in size and average age, so I think we're okay, we're good to go. And naturally, every manager's going to sit here and say they would like one more, but if we don't, then we're happy with the squad that we got moving forward.
Was that really the plan all along, to get to the day and not have to do much business because you've been busy earlier on in the window?
Yeah, listen, the board really supported the plan that we all had from the chairman down, and James and myself. We sat and looked at the squad going into the summer. We had a number of players moving on and an ageing squad in some areas, and the contract situation enabled us to refresh the squad in terms of age and we think assets moving forward, and so we're sticking with that plan and onwards and upwards with this group of players.
Quite a lot of new signings could make their Old Firm debut this weekend. How do you prepare them for a game like that?
Well, it's the one that they signed to play in. If you're signing for either of the clubs in Glasgow, then this is a game that you know it's the first and foremost in your mind, and I've got no issues with any of the players going into the game or being ready for it.
Borna's okay?
Borna's fine, yeah. We had a scan and he should train tomorrow and should be available for selection. The only one is whether Kieran makes it or not because of his slight knock with his knee, but that'll be touch and go. Kimara and Tom will come back in the squad, yeah, they're fine and trained very well this morning. They're both in a fantastic place, I feel.
Gives you added options, obviously, for the game.
Yeah, for sure. I think Kamar coming back last week was a bit of a shock for everybody outside to see him in the starting lineup, and he rewarded us with a goal that probably only really Kamar in our squad scores. We know what he brings to our team as a leader, but also as a focal point to the team. So if Kamar's fit and healthy moving forward, then that's really good news for Rangers.
How about the squad after the game?
Well, listen, we're bitterly disappointed. We're disappointed not only for ourselves, but for our fans as well, and the football club in general. You know, you want really to go and play and challenge yourself at the biggest level, and I think in the home leg of the 2 games we did well in terms of certain aspects of the game and could have had a better result going over to Eindhoven. And big moments in the 2 legs we didn't execute well, we didn't defend well, and we're bitterly disappointed with that. I think that they're a very, very good team, but the scoreline is regrettable. The distance in the scoreline, certainly when you get into over 60 minutes of the game and you get to 2-1, and in both legs we conceded. Certainly at 2-1 at home we conceded within 3 minutes, and then at 2-1 away we conceded within a minute, and we know that's not good enough. We really wanted to go and compete at that level. It's not to be. I think domestically, what could we expect of ourselves going up to the international break? It would be to obviously still be in the League Cup, and we have a home draw with Livingston, and it will to be top of the league. So we have a real aim this weekend that we can still reach in terms of hopefully going into the international break top of the league. And then I think then that gives us a chance to have a reflection. A lot's changed in the football club in terms of the squad since June to now, and if we can go into international break in a good place, then I think we set up the rest of the season.
Aside from the financial aspects of not getting into the Champions League, what advantages or benefits do you see of dropping down to the Europa League?
It's a competition we know well. You know, there's no advantages from not making the Champions League and going in the Europa League. The club budget for Europa League and budget for us to be in Europe after Christmas, and that is the aim. We wanted to go and play in the Champions League. I'm not going to come away from the disappointment of not making it, and certainly the way that we went out, but the schedule remains the same. We lose our Sundays up till Christmas now with playing on a Thursday, but it's a competition we know well. I think we're in a really interesting group with 3 good teams, and the aim is to get out of that group and be in the Europa League into the new year, and it's a competition that we've had a lot of good times in.
Could the draw have been better, or are you quite satisfied with what you've got?
Well, we could have drawn Brighton and Sporting Lisbon, I suppose. So when I look at it that way, listen, Prague got an unbelievable result against Zagreb, which actually moved our pot last night. So that's a rivalry in terms of having played them before that we know well. For the fans to go back to Seville, albeit obviously to play Betis, but to go back to Seville will bring back nice, fond memories of the competition. And Limassol's a team that we don't know so well in terms of having played before or being in a league that we would follow so much. So let's see. What we know is we're going to need the whole squad, because I think now we play 3 games a week all the way through to maybe the Christmas break, and it's important that we see the strength of the squad as we move forward. And I think the squad's quite well balanced. I think the team's got a lot to prove with a lot of new players. I've got a lot to prove as a coach. So listen, there's a lot of opportunity for us moving forward.
Michael, can I just ask you, just to return to recruitment slightly, you said obviously that we would go early, which we have, but you also mentioned that you'd like to bring in an undecided centre-back and maybe a Ryan Kent replacement. That's not happened as yet. Did we try for that, or did you try and recruit for that, or are you just happy to go with what we've got?
Well, we went a long way down the route, without giving you the inside and outs or names or anything. We went a long way down the road with a left centre-back earlier in the window to provide competition for Ben, and the fact that we wanted to work with a back three this season. If ideally we wanted that option, and we were priced out. He moved to a Premier League club for more than what we were willing to pay, and that was all of us. That wasn't the board not willing to pay and me thinking the price that he went for was outside. We thought the value of that player. In terms of trying to get a dribble in wide areas, your first thought is obviously to look inside and see if someone can step up. And I think we've seen a big step up from Rabi Matondo, and the return to fitness of Tom Lawrence gives me a lot of optimism that obviously the fans have not seen yet Tom back, but by the time we get back from the international break, I think he's ready to start games and become a main player in our team again. So you weigh everything up, Steve, and I think that's where we're at. Ben Davies came into pre-season injured off an injury at the back of last season. He's been fit for the last 2 weeks, but I feel that John Souttar has been playing well enough to keep him out of the team. So I feel that we have adequate players to get us to where we want, certainly to the next window.
It's been a lot said from the support, obviously, since Wednesday. You are experienced here, you know what the demands are like at the club. Would you say anything back to the supporters in regard to the kind of anger and reaction from Wednesday?
No, it's expected when the scoreline is the way it is. We don't like that. A club of our stature and our size, we should never accept that either. And there was no reason for it at the moment of the game that we was in. We knew it was going to be tough. I think they're an excellent team, if I'm honest. I think they're a very, very good team, but you try to find a way to compete and stay with them as best you can. In the home leg, we did that. I thought there was some difficulties for us in the game. Everyone can see that, and we need to improve. Thankfully, we're not playing team of that level week in, week out, because I think they're a good team, and I think the season will prove. But we apologise to the fans for the margin of the result, because it's not nice, it's not something that you ever like, and we really wanted to take the fans and the club back to the Champions League. What's important now is we show a big response in the coming weeks in the domestic games, and the most important thing for me as the head coach is for us to be strong domestically in both cup competitions and the league. Europe's an extra, and we want to punch above our weight, and we want to go as far as we can, but we need to get things right domestically, and that's my focus right now. The Europa League draw today, it gives some daylight from the clouds that have been hanging over us the last few days, because that becomes very real when our schedule becomes in front of us, and I think there's optimism that we can get out of this group and go into the knockout phases again.
You mentioned disappointment from Wednesday. Does Sunday provide the perfect opportunity to bounce back?
Well, of course it does, because if we go into the international break on the back of a win this weekend, I think we're in a really good place. We will be able to assess this first period in terms of integrating the new players and the team up to September. We will always want to improve in the way that we play. But as I say, the last 2 league games, we've had 2 clean sheets, scored 6 goals, 6 different goal scorers. We've had the most shots in the league, so we're moving in the right direction. I must pick the bones out of Wednesday night at the right time. It would be a miss of me to to do that in between Wednesday and this huge game on Sunday. It's important that we dust ourselves down and we show a big response as a team and as a club, and it's a great opportunity. The eyes of everybody will be on us for sure.
And Jack mentioned earlier that one of your goals is to win the league, obviously. How imperative is it to win these home games with all your fans inside Ibrox?
I think, yeah, listen, our home form and our away form is going to be paramount. I think both teams have made quite a few changes, us more, it's fair to say, more key players, if you like, turning over. And it's important this new group make their own history and their own legacy. The old firm games and the games against Celtic are going to be vitally important over the season. If you look at the points total that both teams had, and certainly again since I came back into the club in November, we've gone neck to neck all the way through. We've fallen second best. This year the aim is to not fall second best, and these games are vitally important to that. It is only the fourth league game of the season. There's 34 to go afterwards, and I think there's going to be lots of twists and turns. Certainly as we get around European competition, and we're coming off of European games into big games at the weekend. But the importance of these games to this squad, to the fans, and to the league, I think going into the September international break, it will set a narrative moving forward for sure.
Last one for me. How important is it to manage the emotions in these games, especially for new players who haven't played in a match like this before?
Yeah, it's important. It's important you play the 11 players you're playing against, and not the occasion. You know, it's an old cliche or old word in that, but it's very much true. Both teams are showing signs of getting it together after a bit of change. And listen, one team will come out of the weekend in a better place than the other. If there's a winner, that's for sure. And so our aims and our focus is on that. And it's important that we put in a strong performance for our fans.
Last couple. You mentioned there, all the forward players have got on the score sheet this season. I think you've used 7 different combinations across your front three. Was Livingston Servette the only time you've used consecutive pairings? Is that about give everyone a chance? Would you like to play a more settled front three to build relationships? Do you see it changing as the season goes on?
I think naturally things will settle down. With the League Cup being so early in the season, and it was a natural moment to give people a chance to play, so we made a lot of change in that one. Kamal being fit, probably a little bit ahead of schedule, and his form in training and his leadership qualities, I wanted him to play last week. So there's been changes just for different reasons. Over the time, you'll see a much more settled team for sure. And it's important that people make the shirt their own. You're right in the positive point is that all the new players have scored and have contributed. They can all do more, and I think over the season they will show more. I think defensively as a team, certainly there's areas we can improve on.
Michael, Gabby McTonald's just been added to the Welsh national team. What does that say about his turnaround this summer?
It shows how quickly things can change for a player. You know, a lot of traffic moved out of his way, if you want, in the summer. You know, with Fashion and Ryan Kent going, that's predominantly the area that he wants to play in. It's where he had his whole junior career with Man City before moving across to Germany, and then his loan spell in Belgium. So he was shifted around a little bit. He's had some consistency in terms of his training and the feedback he's had. And as I say, like, he can probably see that there's a real opportunity for him to play. I thought he had some really bright moments in Eindhoven on Wednesday and last weekend at Ross County as well. And it's a reward for, you know, his focus and his optimism coming into pre-season. I've been delighted for him. There's no doubt that at, 22, that the money that he's moved for and the clubs he's played for, that he's a talent, and it's took him longer than what he would want and maybe everyone wanted to settle here at Rangers. But in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I think he's made giant strides in the right direction, and so we applaud that and we encourage him to keep going for sure.
Michael, Luis Palma could make his debut for Celtic this weekend. He said yesterday that his unveiling that there was some interest, but his agent told him there was some interest from the club earlier in the window. Are you able to tell us what sort of contact the club had with that player?
Nothing between me and the player. It was very late into last season, early into pre-season, where someone from his club was pushing him around and could have took him on loan maybe with an obligation at the time, but it wasn't one that we were willing to do.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.